Happy Sunday, everyone. Welcome to Our Issues Birmingham. I'm Tommy Spina. I am delighted today to have candidate for governor, Walt Maddox, current mayor of Tuscaloosa, with us.
Thank you, Tommy.
I'm so glad you came, and I'm so sorry I'm late, because I am late, and he's in a hurry, and big things are happening in his campaign today. Tell us what's going on.
Well, I tell you what, the momentum is extraordinary. As we saw last month in our fundraising, we are staying with the governor, but we're doing it the old-fashioned way. We're having to get 10 times the donors. It's those $10, $25, $50 donations. That's exciting because people in Alabama are ready for change. They're not interested in Republican or Democrat. They're interested in progress, and they're tired of the failed rhetoric coming out of Montgomery that makes us at or near the bottom in everything that matters.
Well, I did invite the Gov to be here with us today. I did not get a response, but she doesn't seem to want to take you on the issues at all.
Well, and that's unfortunate because you have to logically ask yourself, what is she hiding? I mean, we've recently learned that the governor authorized payments even after they were required to continue the defense of Robert Bentley. We'll never stamp out corruption.
To this day?
To this day, over $337,000 worth of legal fees paid on behalf of the taxpayers of Alabama to the defense of Robert Bentley when after November 9, 2017, it wasn't even necessary. Those are the types of questions the governor should be willing to answer, in addition to why is our corrections under court order? Why is mental health collapsing? Why is 20% of Alabama's bridges functionally obsolete? Why does our education system continue to be at or near the bottom in everything that matters? Why are 89% of our rural hospitals in the red with, according to the Alabama Hospital Association, 12 could go at any moment? The governor should have to not only answer the question about paying Robert Bentley's defense, but how about these other core functions of state government that she's responsible for? And by the way, I mean, the governor's been in Montgomery 35 years. Yep. It's not as if these issues just started yesterday.
Well, one of my pet peeves, and we've talked about it with other guests, is the methane gas wells that are off the coast of Alabama. Mm-hmm. Aside from being unsightly, nobody seems to know where that money goes or what's going on with that money. That's a big chunk of money.
And wouldn't it be good if you could ask your governor that question?
And get an answer?
And get an answer. And Tommy, think about this. If you're not willing to answer questions.
Do you have an idea?
While you're running. Well, let me finish. If you're not willing to answer questions while you're running for governor, what do you think you'll do once you're finally elected to the position? So I think it's very important. It's incumbent upon Governor Ivey to answer the questions of the people who pay her salary. It's not only arrogance, it also has to lead you to the natural question, what else is she hiding? They were hiding their payments to Robert Bentley. They're hiding the fact that corrections is going to go under a court order. It's going to cost the state tens of millions of dollars. Hiding the fact they're already negotiating with lawmakers on a gas hike when it comes to roads and bridges. What else is out there that they're hiding? That's why debates, that's why transparency is essential for the electoral process, and it's essential for the future of Alabama.
What do you think it is that that doesn't resonate with the voter regarding her inaccessibility, for lack of a better word?
I think it will resonate, and because I believe that Alabamians, whether Republican or Democrat, are tired of us being at or near the bottom in everything that matters. If you're in Alex City, you know that your hospital could close just because we failed to expand Medicaid. If you're in Haleyville, Alabama, you know that you just had to raise taxes to keep your hospital open. If you're stuck on 280 or I-65, you have seen infrastructure investments not be made for decades, and you wonder, where has the state been? We can go through the list, whether it's mental health, corrections, public education. And the difference one of the key differences between the governor and I is that, number one, we're focused on the future and not the politics of the past. But number two, we have articulated detailed solutions to each and every one of these problems. And you can go to our website, waltmaddox.com, and read about how we want to propose these solutions. Now, I would actually have more respect for the governor if she would be willing to debate me on where she believes I am right and wrong on my policies. I would like to engage in that type of debate. I think the people at home deserve that type of debate. But all we're getting is mountain oysters and monuments.
Well, she says it's just you and, I guess, people like me
Well, she needs
that want her to debate.
Well, if she'd go on the campaign trail, she'd be like me and meet families who are struggling because they can't find mental health care for their children. She can meet families who have been cut off from their economic future because the bridge in their community hasn't been rebuilt. She needs to talk to the families whose children are trapped in failing public schools. She needs to go talk to the families down in Uniontown, Alabama, where R.C. Hatch is right next to a sewer lagoon that's been overflowing, and the state has done absolutely nothing about it. And she needs to go talk to the tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of Alabamians that can't believe that the taxpayers of this state, while while teachers are having to buy instructional supplies out of their pocket, are still funding the defense of Robert Bentley.
Yeah, that is troublesome.
And if she won't talk about that, what else is she hiding?
Well, one thing that's out there that people are all whipped up about is an education lottery. I think you're in favor of something along those lines. I think she gives it lip service, but I don't know that she intends to put it in play.
Well, she tries to kick the can to the legislature. That's not leadership. Could you imagine Nick Saban not taking any responsibility for Alabama's offense or defensive plays? You would never see that because Coach Saban is a leader. You never see Gus Malzahn or Bill Clark do that either. Leaders take responsibility for what's going to happen to their organization, and that's why we propose the Alabama Education Lottery that'll put $300 million into a universal pre-K, college scholarship programs, and begin addressing those 100 schools in Alabama that continually fail to meet the mark.
Would it have to be voted on by the people?
It would. It would require a constitutional amendment to be voted on by the people, and we plan on being very specific in where those dollars will be allocated because we think it's important to have complete transparency.
Do the polls suggest that it's got a chance?
Oh, more than 75% of Alabamians believe, depending upon which poll that you want to use, believe that Alabama's time has come for a lottery. We've educated enough children in Florida, Georgia, and Tennessee.
You mean with our
own dollars?
Players?
If you look at the highest yielding lottery
drive
sites,
through the parking lot.
That's right. The highest yielding lottery sites are generally on the state line with Alabama.
Is there conflict there between the Indians that are operating the casinos that are in place and putting in place a lottery system that's statewide that might cut into their business?
I think what you're going to see, especially with sports gambling now coming onto the scene, I think there can be a deal struck across a wide spectrum. Our goal is once we're sworn into office, after expanding Medicaid in hour one of our term, is to then move to call a special session dealing with all of the whether it's lottery, sports gaming, where we have existing gambling in our state and we're not taxing it. Those three things are $500 million on the table that can begin to solve Alabama's problems without raising taxes. I like that.
I do too. All right, don't go away. We're going to be right back. I'm not going to let you leave yet. This is Tommy Spina. This is Our Issues Birmingham. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Our Issues Birmingham. I'm talking with Walt Maddox, gubernatorial candidate. Is that the way you say that, I think, who's running against Kay Ivey. I would like to just get a word out to people that are watching. Just vote. Just whatever you do, vote. Go
Absolutely.
Get out, vote, register to vote. Are y'all taking steps to get folks registered and get them out to vote?
We are, and we know there's a lot of groups joining us in this. This election on November 6th may be one of the most important in Alabama's history. Our healthcare system is collapsing. Our mental health system has already collapsed. Our roads and bridges are rated at the bottom of anywhere in the union. In fact, when you look last week, we saw that Alabama ranks first in the nation in infant mortality. You have one candidate that's beholden to the future. If you don't believe me, their first commercial was regarding monuments and mountain oysters.
I remember it.
If you have one word in mind about this election, it's future. And then which candidate can take us to that future? I believe that our candidacy is the one that can do that. You can go to our website and see what we're proposing, but the bottom line is this. I've spent 13 years as mayor of Tuscaloosa solving problems. I didn't wake up as a Republican mayor or a Democratic mayor. I woke up as mayor. When I'm elected your governor, I'm going to wake up as governor, and I'm going to work with Republicans and Democrats in solving this problem. We don't need the politics of the past. We don't need the politics of rhetoric. We need policies of results. That's why I'm running for office.
That's good. In terms of some of the other elections in the Democratic Party that are going on, I know you're running for governor, but do you see some sort of momentum shift going on in our state with respect to the Democratic Party that hasn't been there for the past 30 plus years?
I do, and I think a lot of it has to do with the quality of candidates. I mean, I would say up and down, this may be one of the best Democratic ballots in history. People like Bob Vance who are on the ballot, people like Joseph Siegelman, Heather Milam, Will Boyd, and others that are on the ballot. They're extremely strong, competent, talking about things that matter. The second thing is that what you see across the state is that if you're in Haleyville, Alabama, and your taxes were raised because we didn't expand Medicaid, you're not happy about that. And that's one of the most Republican areas in Alabama.
Yeah, it bothers me about Medicaid not expanding.
It's probably the worst policy decision in our state's history.
It's billions of dollars.
$1.8 billion direct federal investment,
Ouch.
30,000 new jobs that were created by this federal investment, and we walked away from it simply because of politics. Simultaneously, these hospitals have continued to lose their dish payments, which has put them in an inverted profit loss pattern, and there's no way they can recover. And the governor's response last week was, well, those local communities can raise taxes. Now, you can't be a no-tax governor when you say, local communities, you raise taxes because we failed. That's not right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why leadership's important. The status quo is not acceptable to my children. It's not acceptable to Taylor and Eli. It shouldn't be acceptable to anyone. That's why we've been detailed in how we want to solve these problems. And that's why we have always been willing to debate from day one, because we're willing to stand by what we're proposing and engage in the dialogue with the people who pay our salary.
Are you able to engage our legislative group in dialogue, which sometimes can be a breakdown in making something happen?
Well, yes.
I see you smiling.
Yes.
It's, you got your work cut out for you.
Well, we do, but I can tell you this, it won't get solved if you're not willing to exert leadership. And we are willing to exert leadership. The other thing, I've on the campaign trail over the past year, many Republican legislators have commented to me, we really need you to win because we've got to start solving these problems. Because whether you're Republican or Democrat, you want to have access to health care. Whether you're Republican or Democrat, you want to have quality schools. We're not separated by that belief. And they understand there's one candidate that wants to live in the politics of the past, and there's another one that's ready for Alabama to join other New South states. We're ready to seize a new future for Alabama.
So aside from education issues and healthcare issues, what would be number 3 challenge you find yourself looking at coming in as governor?
I think it's going to be mental health and corrections, because both corrections is already under court order, mental health soon will be under court order, and we've got to have solutions. Now, the governor knows those issues are out there, and she doesn't want to talk about how to solve them. We do, and if you go to waltmaddox.com, you'll see that we've put some detailed proposals. We have to do that. Those issues, by the way, will never get you elected governor. But I believe ultimately you have to be willing to address the issues as the governor, as the CEO of the state, because ultimately it does impact the life, safety, and welfare of all citizens you represent.
Yeah, because nobody wants to be soft on crime, or we're going to let people out of prison.
Well, if we don't, right now I will tell you the failure of corrections and the failure of mental health is probably the greatest threat to public safety in Alabama, sans our poor infrastructure.
Yeah. Well, you got your work cut out for you.
Thank you, Tommy.
I'm glad you are here. I apologize again for being late. I didn't plan on it. It's my fault. All my fault. Thank you for being here today. Walt, thanks for being here with us. We'll be back next week. Don't go away. This is Our Issues Birmingham. Welcome back to Our Issues Birmingham. I'm Tommy Spina. That was Walt Maddox, the Democratic candidate for Alabama governor. We're in the middle of our election series, and we've invited candidates from both parties in certain races to appear on this program and discuss the issues that we face here in Birmingham and all over Alabama. Here's a quick look at the candidates that took us up on our invitation. So what is the condition of the courts as you see it from your perspective?
Well, the condition is tight. We're struggling. That's why I'm running. I've been a circuit judge now for 16 years, and it seems like we're always struggling. It's always a fight just to get the resources we need, the court system needs, to serve people of Alabama. So from my perspective as a trial judge over those 16 years, I know firsthand how difficult it is just to have the basic funding and the resources and the programs in place so we can do our job.
Yeah, I know, at least having practiced law for 40 years and having seen the evolution of just court costs, for example.
Right.
It's said often, but it seems that we put the biggest burden of supporting the court system on those that can least afford to pay it, and that would be the people that participate in it. That is the defendants that are charged with crimes. Where legislative groups always meeting and enacting a new court cost, a bond fee, a something or another.
Right.
How can we finance our court system without having to dip into the people who can least afford to pay it?
It's very difficult, and this is a long-standing problem that's occurred over a number of years. But so much of our fees and costs don't even go to the court system. It goes to a number of other state agencies and departments. So, for example, in my court, when someone files a lawsuit, the filing fee alone can be upward to $500. Very little of that money actually goes to the court system.
So who gets it? The DA's Association?
DAs, sheriffs, some goes to the general fund, a number of agencies and departments. A little slice even goes to American Village in Montevallo, which is a great thing, but the question is, should all these departments and agencies get their funding through the court system? Are the courts there simply as a revenue collection agency for the state of Alabama? That's, to me, a big problem. And that's been the cause of so much in terms of rising fees, rising costs. So we need to, first of all, have an honest dialogue that this issue exists, and then try to figure out, well, what can we do about it so that the burden of collecting revenue is not placed so unfairly on those who can least afford it.
I'm talking with Mark Petway, who's candidate for Jefferson County Sheriff. So it's my understanding you have a slogan, for lack of a better word, a Petway Proactive Plan.
Yes, sir.
Is that what it's called?
That is what it's called. And I would like to talk to you about 4 points of my Petway Proactive Plan.
Yeah, that's a tongue twister, but it's good.
It's a lot to say. But my plan deals with school safety. It deals with officers' equipment that brings about transparency. It deals with officer training that gives officers the opportunity to learn how to de-escalate situations. And lastly, but not least, it deals with criminal justice reform in the form that those that are incarcerated get an opportunity to get an education and skills. So when they go out, they will not be coming back in.
Do you know that there are a lot of people that would say that's never going to happen? I'm not one of them. But there's so many people that have such a negative attitude about being able to restore people to constructive existence in society after they've been exposed to the criminal justice system. You believe that's doable?
Absolutely. I've looked at different models in different states right here in the South. And just about every state around us have their program in their jails, except for Alabama. We have an opportunity right now for a game changer. Very successful in these other states. That program is very successful. 96% success rate, which means that when that person gets rehabbed in that jail, they're not coming back. They have opportunities, and some of them, when they leave, they have jobs already waiting for them, which means they're not going back to that same situation. They're going into a situation in which they have a job in a different location, and they're not coming back. They're being productive citizens in society.
Yeah. We have to start that movement at an early age. In a perfect world, we'd catch them before they got into the criminal justice system. Are you working with Mayor Woodfin at all? Have you had any dialogue with him?
We have spoken, and we're not working on anything in particular, but we have spoken.
Okay. I'm Tommy Spina. We're talking with Sheriff Mike Hale. You announced recently, I saw it in the newspaper, about putting school resource officers in each county school.
Yes.
But we were pulling these officers from the retired officer rank as opposed to the new recruit rank. Is that
That's exactly
is that
what,
exactly what
that's
I
how
read?
that's how we're able to do it. Yes.
That's good.
You know, we what
got
we
some
did.
old timers in there.
Well, we do, but they're young old timers. You know, the national conversation with after Sandy Hook and after these just deadly school shootings were maybe retired military, retired law enforcement. Well, the problem is retired. These are guys and girls that are doing what they do when they want to do it. But I like the concept of retired equals experienced. And so what we're able to do, the ones that still are young, maybe 20, 25-year retirement, we're going to train them. We're going to pay them $40,000 a year, give them a car, and I promise you they are going to love serving as SROs in these schools.
Will they have like a desk and a place to go? Are they wandering throughout? I trust they're armed.
Well, they're going to be armed just like they're going to be armed with the correct body armor, the correct ammunition, the correct firepower. We want that SRO, Tommy, to be able, if there's a threat in that school, not to have to wait on anybody else to come. We want this SRO to be able to immediately have the training, go in, disrupt, save the children. That's what the national conversation is, and that's why I think we're leading the nation in saying it's important to us to put a deputy sheriff in every Jefferson County school. But also, there are some private schools. John Carroll wants to be a part of it. St. Francis wants to be a part of it. There's a couple of cities that are inquiring about it, and the Alabama School of Fine Arts wants to be a part of it. So the threat is real, and the solution is real too. I'm just proud of the leadership of my team that has able to put this together. Dr. Craig Pouncey, Board of Ed Superintendent, and also Joe Knight, Jimmy Stevens on the commission side saw the value in protecting our school children. The Metro Area Crime Center, I can explain it one way. Got 20 agencies that are giving us real-time data. For instance, Tommy, just imagine there's a robbery, and let's say Midfield has a partial tag number and description. Birmingham has a partial, Homewood has a partial, and maybe Coleman has a partial. We can put that all together in one room and come up with who the offender is and solve the crime.
This is Our Issues Birmingham. We'll see you next week.